In this video, I'm going to show you how to draw anime heads in any angle and style, even if you've struggled with the Loomis method before. Because yeah, this is what happens when you try to draw a face without a plan. And yes, I did try to use the Loomis method for this one. Everybody calls it the golden standard, which is used to draw any face in any angle and in any style, but mine still ended up looking like this. The Loomis method is one of the first things beginners learn, and one of the first things they totally mess up. It's like being handed a bike with backward wheels and told to go ride it. The method does work, but most of us learn it wrong. You could try the box method, the eyeball it and pray method, or that weird paper slice thing from TikTok, but none of them give you consistent structure from every angle. Loomis can be powerful once you know how to use it right. And that's what this video is about. I'll show you a simplified version that I use myself to draw heads from any angle and in any style, anime included. Here's how the basic video is going to be broken down. We're going to be talking about the basic structure, which is going to be about the shapes that make the Loomis actually click, the anatomy, which is going to be about the key facial landmarks, and nothing fancy, so don't worry about it, and stylization, how to make it yours, anime, webtoons, whatever you like. Plus, I'll walk you through step-by-step examples so you can follow along, no fluff, no theory dumps. This is what I actually use when I draw. Let's make the Loomis method work, just not like a confused 1950s art student. This is the meat of the video. Long? Yes. Vital? Absolutely. Let's break down the Loomis method. This is a drawing process that allows you to draw the head without the need of major anatomy knowledge to be able to draw the face. Now, we're currently going to deviate from the anime heads because the basic structure and idea between this realism methodology and that of the anime are generally the same. But the anime art style follows the rules of realism with slight modifications. So even if you're not interested in drawing the realism or semi-realism, this is still important for you to understand. So the concept of the Loomis method is fairly simple. The idea is to utilize basic shapes that more accurately represent the face to create a template with which we'll be able to draw the face upon. It all starts with the base, which is a circle that represents the general figure of the face. Now this circle acts as a sphere rather than a plane circle. The lines that we'll draw over them will wrap around the circle rather than just being on top of them. From here we will draw a line at its center. Now this line represents the direction or angle in which the head is facing at, and also the center point from where each plane of the face lies. Then since the head isn't actually circular but rather flat on the edges, we'll draw two more circles on each side. The circles are like slices that will flatten out the sides of the sphere. To draw lines that wrap around the center horizontal and vertical lines around the shape is fairly important to get an idea of the structure of the figure, and I heavily recommend to do as such. Once you've done this, then the general base is pretty much done. Then it's a matter of dividing the face into thirds. The space between the eyebrows and the nose, between the eyebrows and the hairline, and between the nose and the chin. All equal parts that can vary if you want. Then from there we'll draw a division from the jaw and front side plane of the face. There you go. This is the general Loomis method. The issue that I used to have when I first started out was, where do I put the actual face on top of this template, and how? Now, the Loomis method actually addresses this, and you can search it up for yourself, but to me, I was never able to make it work out in a way that would be consistent until I started to develop my own structure. Now, to be clear, how the Loomis method addresses placing the features of the face will probably work for you, and it also doesn't mean that whatever source you find is bad. It's just that for me, I had to find my own way that will be consistent with my little tiny brain. Now, some might say that drawing anime faces using the Loomis method, a method created for realistic proportions, is impossible. Well, I disagree. Similar to the Loomis method, some of the steps remain the same. Actually, like 70% of the process is the same. We create a circle, then a center line, the circles for the side planes of the face, and the divisions of the face into different segments. So far, it's the same as the Loomis method. Where the main difference comes from is when placing the actual features of the face. For example, before drawing the jaw, I place a line right below the edge of the circle, a line that goes tangent to the circle and parallel to the horizontal guidelines for the segments of the face. This helps me determine where the breaking point of the jaw will be on both sides of the face. For the chin, once I've determined where it will be located, similar to the Loomis method, I like to draw the division from the jaw and side plane of the face in a way that will better resemble the art style that I'm going with. You'll see better what I mean when we go into the stylization section of the video, but right now, since this is a real life person, I'll just stick to what feels more accurate to the reference. Then comes the features of the face. The biggest factor here is the nose. The nose will determine how all of the different features of the face will look like. I like making a circle to get an idea of where the nose will be. Then right above the circle, I make an inverted triangle whose corners connect with the edge of the front plane of the face. Here. Then another diagonal line to create the structure where the eye sockets will be located, when seen with a skull, for example. After having drawn the nose, this line that we've created will serve as the base of the eyes, and the shape of the eye sockets, I like doing it by making a square. Each square will be the length of one eye apart from one another, and it is inside this square that I will draw whatever shape of the eye that I want. As you will see with the different examples across this video, this allows me to draw the shape of the face with its features rather consistently. Now, you have to practice this with a reference. Do not draw from imagination. Yet. If If you're unable to do it with a reference, then trace it, not by drawing over the head, but by tracing over the structure of the Loomis method over the head, and then trying to replicate it. You'll see that different art styles have variation from different spaces between each section of the face. If you can't do it after a few attempts, then just move on. Also start by practicing the angles that you will draw more often. There's no need to go into the more complicated things at the start. Now, as mentioned before, these distances between the hairline, nose, and jaw can be changed depending on the style. For instance, if you want to draw a child or a cute female character, the forehead will probably be the biggest shape, whilst the jaw will remain very small. With males, it generally suffices to just follow the basic guidelines of the method. Now, remember when I told you there was a way to draw faces in any angle? Well, this is the first step of it, and that is boxes. Yes, I know boxes are boring, but they are a fundamental part of this. The reason for this is because by practicing drawing boxes from different angles, you'll train that part of your brain that allows you to see and imagine the rotation of 3D objects in space, which you will then learn how to put into a piece of real or digital paper. Once you've drawn the box, then try to draw the face on top using the Lumis method as your base and the structure I just taught you, if you'd like to place the features of the face. If you do this enough, it will get to the point that you will be able to draw any angle you want without that much difficulty. In this part, we focus on the key anatomical landmarks that make the face actually look like a face. Let's start off from the beginning. Literally the beginning, the skull, because, well, without it your character is just a floating mid-balloon. Well, you might be asking, why do I need to practice drawing the skull to get better at drawing faces? Well, in a nutshell, it's because of this part right here, and here, and here, and here, and here. These parts are the anatomical landmarks that distinguish from a good and a not so good drawing of the face. Also, when practicing these landmarks, it is much simpler to draw a skull than an actual face. This way, you'll also get used more easily to the angles of the nose, of the eyes, how much the nose actually covers the eyes when viewed from an angle, the overall shape of the head. Like, these are things that actually help you get better. Now, I don't want you to hyper-obsess drawing skulls. Although they're spooky, scary, and awesome, they're not the focus of the video nor the subject. This should be a mere exercise that you should do whenever you want to do a warm-up before drawing the actual face. Drawing skulls also give you the basics for the next stage of this anatomy section. Now look at this handsome face we got going on here. It's very blocky, very plainy. It reminds me of handsome Squidward in a way. The Asaro Head is a simplified asymmetrical, geometrical representation of the human head. It's a tool used to understand the planes and basic structure of the head, aiding in creating more realistic and believable portraits and illustrations. Then why you should care about learning how to draw this if you only care about drawing anime? Well, that is because it teaches you how to simplify and understand the planes of the face, which are essential for drawing convincing lighting, structure, and angles. Anime may be stylized, but strong stylization still relies on knowing what you're simplifying from. The Asaro Head helps you internalize 3D form, so your anime heads don't look flat or inconsistent when viewed from different angles or under different lighting. Now, I know this looks very overwhelming when looking at it at first glance, but honestly, it doesn't have to look so complicated. If you simplify it, it's really not that difficult to draw. What matters here are the areas that lie on the sides of the forehead, that the section of the cheeks reaches to the top of the mouth, the shadow below the nose, lips and eyes, and those on the sides of the head. If you only take this in mind, then the Asaro Head will look something like this. You can see how the simplification allows to portray very well the shapes of the main sections of the face, without much complication through different angles from where the light is coming from. You can see examples of what I mean in some quality episodes of Black Clover, in most if not all of the episodes of Death Note, and in Attack on Titan to name a few. What I'd suggest for you to do with the Asaro Head is to have it as a reference for the lighting and shadows for whenever you want to render an illustration. In the description, I'm leaving an ArtStation link you can check out for using the Asaro Head. Also a link to my socials. I will appreciate if you check them out. Now, the Asaro Head, you don't really have to draw it, but it wouldn't do you any wrong if you did. Believe me, all of this is to help you improve 1,000 times better and faster than those who aren't practicing this. Now, this part is what I consider the most fun. The concept of stylization is to take the basic shapes that make up the structure of the face and change them in a way that is not only pleasing to look at, but also cool in design. Of course, there are more elements to that, but the way that I would suggest to go about stylization is as follows. We're going to take the basic structure of the face that we created on part 1. As you can see on screen, I've made a general base for the method I've shown you. Based on this, we're going to change the size and shape of certain elements, depending on the stylization we want to go with. As mentioned before, if you want to draw a child or a cute female character, the forehead will be usually the biggest shape, whilst the jaw will remain very small. With males, it suffices to just follow the basic guidelines of the method. Also, different styles cause the areas between the front plane of the face to differ. For instance, maybe the eyes are very big like the way Horikoshi draws his character, then we'll make the boxes of the eyes bigger. If the character is going to have a certain expression, then we change the shape of the boxes of the eyes to fit this expression. Maybe the character has a huge manly jaw like the Demon King in Mushoku Tensei, then we change the shape of the jaw to fit this description. What if they have a very pointy jaw like in Solo Leveling? Then we make the guidelines for it pointy, and so on and so forth. Look at what element you want to copy and create a structure for it. That will be the best way to study how other artists stylize their character. But what about your own? Well, since your art style is unique, the best approach will be to study the style of series that you like. Study them and take your favorite elements from each one. Merge them and see what comes up. Try to apply this method with real life photos like I did for most of this video, and try drawing them using this methodology. You can keep the proportions as accurate as you want, or exaggerate them a little to create that semi-realistic look or the anime style that you want. It's just a matter of playing with the building blocks that make up the structure of the face, and it is through this freedom that your art style becomes your own, and drawing becomes more fun. But to get to this level, it is very important to have the bases done. Let me show you what I mean by doing a small time lapse of me playing around with what I just taught you. It won't be long and you can click away if you're not interested, since we're pretty much at the end of the video. If you've made it this far, thank you. I hope the tips and guides have been helpful. Consider giving the video a like and maybe even subscribing. I'm still pretty new to this whole YouTube thing, so every click genuinely helps and means a lot. Well, I've spoken enough. Enjoy the short time lapse and I'll see you on the next video.